We kicked off LTIA 2016 yesterday with lectures by Dr. Pat Briney on the War of Ideas, a topic that will be central to our students throughout the week. Then this morning we started with our pledges and worship music before heading off to Crossroads Baptist Church for morning services. On the way, we talked to some students about their experiences at LTIA so far and what they hope to get out of this week's training.
The actions your ideas turn into actions.
I kind of found interest in the whole conversation about the sins being not the same, but in the end they're all come the same thing.
They all lead to the same.
Yeah, also in the end. I thought that was interesting too. How God values certain or weighs out certain sins, but that no matter if you always sin one sin, then you can't go to heaven. You're not privileged.
Got to meet a lot of new people. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of Alaskans and Kansas people and Cincinnati people and a lot of people. Well, I'm glad my son got to come. I'm looking toward the future. I want to make sure he gets a lot out of it and gets every opportunity. I'm enjoying it as well. I look forward to sightseeing, like I say, and meeting people.
We received a warm welcome at Crossroads Baptist Church. Now we will hear about the service from one of our students, Jaya.
Well, it was actually kind of cool because the Sunday school hour, we talked about some of the same things we talked about last night in the whole ideas, the war of ideas and stuff, because it was like, we were talking in Sunday school about the devil's wandering around looking who he can devour and stuff, and if you're idle and stuff, that you can basically fall prey to the devil's influences and getting yourself into sin and stuff, but a lot of that kind of happens in your mind and the ideas that get introduced into your mind. So it's like, we kind of talked about how TV and things like that can introduce things into your mind, and that was one of the things he talked about in Sunday school was the TV shows, and it was kind of interesting because the TV shows nowadays have all the cultural things that are the norm now. Yeah, and I mean, like, back in the day, I Love Lucy. Lucy and Ricky weren't even allowed to be in the same bed, and now we have, what we have. And so it's kind of interesting to see how culture has, and it's just indoctrinating the younger generations because they're seeing it all the time. But then he also talked about, like, the people you're around and the places you go. I mean, you can't go anywhere. And it's kind of like what we talked about this morning in the devotion time of, like, we're in Babylon, but we have to still keep ourselves from letting Babylon get into us. And it's that same kind of idea. It's kind of cool how it all kind of, like, kept intertwining with itself.
After an afternoon of lectures on worldview warfare, we headed out to the city for a night walk tour of the monuments. Along the way, we asked students about the monuments and their time at LTIA so far.
The biggest thing I've learned in the lecture so far is the biblical worldviews and the breakdown and the systems to how you can figure out and explain the answers to very typical questions that people will ask you about how, if there's a God, if there's not a God, just different things. But it's been very, very helpful to understand how all that works and how you can turn that around and use that as a field multiplier to answer people's questions that they need answered.
Jefferson Memorial?
Overwhelming, in a word. Never knew it was this elaborate and this large, but I think it is definitely necessary. Jefferson was one of our forefathers and our founding forefathers, and I feel a little honored to be here, to be honest.
I've seen it before, but no, it's like you said, it's huge. And I just think whenever we were walking by here the other day, and you just think about how long it took them to build this, and all the people that were involved to build like these huge pillars and everything like that. So it's nice to see.
I think it's a good way to remember any of our founding fathers, so I appreciate it.
What do you think of the lectures today?
All very interesting.
Yeah?
Very eye-opening. Pointed out a lot of good things that are kind of like basic, but also like fundamental, but very challenging. Thought-provoking questions. Yeah.
What stood out to you from the lectures this morning so far?
The fact that, despite the fact, I really saw there may be one or two worldviews, and I had like a barely even understand what a worldview was to begin with. Now I have a broader idea and what kind of worldviews there exactly is.
I definitely gave much thought into what worldview I had and what worldviews other people had.
My favorite memorial is probably the Lincoln Memorial. I respect him a lot as a president, and I really like this memorial. Just coming to LTIA has really helped reinforce my Christian worldview and really help me remember, like, why do I believe what I believe, and how do you explain that to other people? And so I think LTIA has really helped me in that respect.